You're tuned in to B&T Unscripted. Get ready for raw, real, and unfiltered conversations with the award-winning radio show host Tiffany K and her co-host and fiance Brandon. It's life, love, and laughter. Unscripted, unpredictable, and unforgettable. Buckle up. You're listening to B&T Unscripted.
Check one. Mic check.
1 2 1 2.
What was that?
That's a song, isn't it?
Nah. What's the lose yourself or
You
something?
better lose yourself in the moment. Eminem.
Yeah, 8 Mile.
He was just on the VMAs last night, by the way.
Yeah,
Performing
he
his new
had
song, Houdini.
the yellow hair, like making
The-
fun of
the
it.
bright
the
white,
real Slim
yeah.
Shady.
Oh, that was
Yeah,
funny.
it's so funny.
Anyways, welcome to B&T Podcast.
Yep.
B&T Unscripted. I've got my podcast blankie, so I'm ready to go. I can record now.
Yeah.
That's my necessity when we do our podcast.
I have my microphone on my hat right now.
You do. It kind of looks funny.
Yeah.
We got some feedback that you guys needed it to be a little louder, so we're trying our best to fix that.
So
but
I got my microphone on my face.
it looks great,
so I
babe.
can be louder.
It looks great. But yes, welcome back to B&T Unscripted, episode 2. First off, thank you so much for everybody who listened, the kind words, the love, the support you showed us on social media, and just all the listens and sharing, because it was pretty remarkable. Like, we didn't expect that.
Yeah.
Because we were just kind of sharing, like, our story, and we felt like we just wanted to for the people and, you know, kind of just have fun with it.
Just have fun.
You know,
throw
but
an episode out there.
to be honest, we were like, oh, well, if 2 people listen and it's my parents, we'll be fine. Like, that's all that mattered. So, but thank you so much for the love and the support for all of that.
Yep. Very grateful. Thank you.
Yeah, so we're still working on our social media, but of course you can follow along with us. Tiffany K on Facebook, K-A-Y, Tiffany K-A-Y on air on Instagram. That's where we're kind of posting updates about these episodes so far, answering questions you have for us, etc. So before we get into our topic today, though, speaking of answering questions people have for us, the one that I kept getting, you saw it on my social media, was, how are Tiffany's parents?
Yeah.
You know, like, how's Chuck
The Fam
and
Bam
Melissa?
update?
Yeah, because, I mean, for those who maybe you're just starting on episode 2, and if so, thank you for joining, but you should go back and check out episode 1, but it kind of talks about how we got to this point. I was a radio host for the mornings here in Fredericksburg, a co-host on a country show, and before that I was in Iowa, but so a lot of our listeners for this podcast have come over from there, which I absolutely love.
Yep. Love you guys.
The Fred fam. The Fred
Fam Bam.
But a lot of them know my parents too, because I would bring them up on air all the time. So they're like, what's going on with your dad and your mom? And I was like, I should probably address that beforehand, but they're doing good.
Yes.
They're doing good. My dad's still in his own little world. You know, he's trying. He's being Chuck.
Yeah. We love Chuck.
We love Chuck. I feel like that's all you can say for him, right? He's like, what time is it? What day is it? Where are we at?
Yep. we just love him.
Yeah, he calls. Swear to God, he calls only to talk to you. Mm-hmm. He has more fun talking to you than his own daughter.
I have a blast talking to Chuck.
Oh my God.
Shout out to Chuck.
Yeah. And then my mom is just attempting to reel in all her kids.
Yep.
And deal with a wedding. And her other daughter and granddaughter in Alaska. Mm-hmm. And, you know, dealing with my attitude. So they're doing good, though. They are doing good. As funny stories occur, I will make sure to share them with you all. But, well, here's one, actually, real quick. When we first put the podcast out, we put it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, right? Mm-hmm. And I shared it to our family group text that we have on WhatsApp, because my sister and brother-in-law and niece are in Alaska. And I don't know if you saw this, but my dad responded to it, and he was like, I don't know Facebook or understand what a pod is, but good job, babe. And I was like, or good job, baby girl. And I was like, it's not a pod. I said podcast. But my sister responded, Dad, click this link, with like the YouTube link afterwards. And he was like, called me after. He was like, oh, that was really good. Yeah. He was like, so I just have to click that link? What's up with the Facebook and the pod? So I was like, no, Dad. It's a podcast.
The book face.
The book face. The Facebook doesn't, you just never mind.
Yep.
Listen to the link I sent you. So if that's the updated you wanted, that's what's happening in this world. But let's get into our topic today. Mm-hmm. So I have a question for you.
Yes.
And for everybody else, we would love to hear your comments on this. You can go ahead and comment on our whatever platform you're listening to. Just leave a message. But
we would love to hear from you.
Yeah, but Brandon, do you believe in fate?
Ooh.
Starting off strong.
Yeah, wow. Yeah,
Surprise.
kicking off episode 2 strong, right? But yes, I do.
Did you always believe in fate? So, by the way, when I'm talking about fate, like, I don't mean, like, sorry to anybody out there who believes in this stuff. Like, was it astrology or whatever?
Aquarius.
Oh,
Aquarius. Or I don't know what it is.
I'm a Cancer.
Astrology.
Yeah.
What is that?
Is it astrology?
I don't know. I don't even know what it's called now.
It's something. I don't know what it is.
It's something.
But I'm not talking about all that. Like, do you even know what your sign is? I think you're a Libra.
Yeah.
And I only think that because I remember looking it up only because I thought it was funny. Mm-hmm. No. Like, legit. Okay, no, that's a lie. I did do a couple times. Like,
are we compatible?
Yes, I did do that.
Oh, my God.
I actually did do that. Fun fact, we're apparently either compatible in a really good way or a really bad way. Thankfully,
I guess
we're on the
it's
good
working
side.
out.
Yeah, but I also don't know, like, somebody once said to me in terms of that stuff, they're like, well, what's your sign? I'm like, I know it's Cancer, but that's all I know. And they're like, oh, are you the water version or the fire? And I'm like, there's two.
There's two different versions?
Apparently. I don't understand it. They're like, it's also based on the moon phase and the where the planets are aligned. And I'm like,
so you're like an airbender.
yes, I think we all are. We're all Avatar. We are all Avatar. We're the master of the 4 elements. Water, earth, fire, air. Long ago. No, okay. I could tell you that whole monologue.
Yeah.
That's how much I love that show.
Yeah, I love that show too.
But yeah, so I'm not talking about any of that. So for those of you who believe in that, that's great for you.
Yeah.
I don't. I think it's fun to look it up. Sometimes I do look up the horoscopes just to see. But then
don't they change every 6 months or something?
No, they change every day.
Oh.
But then they remind me of, like, I don't know. It's like they just remind me of fortune cookies for your life. But it's like a daily fortune cookie because they're so generic sometimes. Like, you know how you'll read a fortune cookie and it's like,
you're a millionaire.
Yeah, by this point you will see success in your life. And you're like, well, I hope so. That's a year from now.
Yeah.
You know? So I feel like daily horoscopes are the same thing. So I don't know. I just don't believe in that stuff. So when we're talking about fate, we're not talking about that. We're talking about the idea of, like, is there the one out there? Do you believe that there are so many instances that bring you two together? You know, is there, like, a law of attraction? Is there, like, I don't know, a journey to something? But, like, without seeing forces. So give it to God, give it to the universe, whatever you want to say. You and I both believe in God, so we always like to say it that way. But that's kind of what we're talking about when we're talking about fate.
That's a hard question. Mm-hmm. You know, maybe when I was younger, I had no clue. You know, I still don't have a clue what's going on.
True.
But just a little bit more wiser, a little bit more experience.
Yeah.
A lot of ups and downs, you know, but the more I go through stuff, the more I'm like, this has to mean something.
Yeah.
All my bad times, all the good times, you know, and, you know, at the time when you're going through the bad times, you're like, oh my God, why is this happening to me? Why me? You know?
Does it sound just like that?
Yeah. Yeah. that's the
voice inside your head.
Not evil voice, but
alter ego.
The alter ego. It's like, oh my God, the world's crumbling. Oh my God. And like, this is the worst day ever.
Oh my God. Like one of those reality show girls.
It's like, I always picture like the little angel and the little devil, you know, from those cartoons.
Yeah.
And it's like I think I have those, but
okay. Interesting.
But yeah, the more I go through stuff, the more I'm like, this happened for a reason, because you know, at the time when you're going through bad stuff, you're like, man, this is the end of the world. I don't know how I'm gonna get through this. But those things I'm very grateful for, though. Every bad thing, you know, or good thing, I'm grateful for, because I wouldn't be where I'm at today, which, you know, like, I wouldn't change a thing.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I brought it up because I was thinking about it the other day, like, what was our next episode going to be on? I feel like we still need to introduce ourselves to some of our new listeners. Some who may not know the story, and maybe people who have listened to me for a while but never heard the full story of, like, how we met.
Yeah.
And, like, it brought this question up of, do you believe in fate? Because I now believe in fate. I now believe in soulmates. I believe there is a person out there for everybody. Maybe there's multiples. I don't know. But it was just interesting because everybody gets a kick out of our story when we tell it, you know, because they're like, wait, what? They get goosebumps and everything else. Yeah. But the reason I say I do now before we get into that is because I was that girl who never believed in fate. Like, I didn't believe in soulmates. Okay, let me go back. I was definitely like, I still am, the romantic, like, reader, fantasizer. Like, I wish it was like the movie. Like, that girl. I thought that's what it was like.
Yeah.
I was like, you just meet your soulmate looking across the bar in a coffee bar, and you're like, oh my God, love. And there's little hearts around it like a cartoon. And you're just like, well, we've made it.
Like a
Hallmark movie.
Lifetime
movie.
Soap.
Yeah, I always said I had to go through to like a small town, like a small, like snowy town, and get stuck there. Like my car broke down and some guy has to find me. And oh my God, I fall in love.
Like Channing Tatum or something, like finds you.
Yeah. Which, side note, I did get stuck in a small town in Minnesota in the snow for 3 days in an armory. But that's a whole nother story. And no, I did not find my Hallmark man. But I'm glad because I got you. Yep. But no, I just never believed in that stuff. And like, this is going to sound cheesy, but it's true until you. And like, that's why I want to give the background of the story real quick. Because a lot of people, like I said, it's a good one to share. So you and I, for those who don't know, met on Hinge.
Yep.
And we went on our first Hinge date. I'll be honest. I almost backed out because I was scared. I had been, you know, through a bad breakup, hurt before, like all that stuff. I was dealing with my own mental health issues. And actually, like, I was so scared. And like my best friend and also our roommate, she was still in Ohio at that point. And I'm calling her. I'm like, I don't think I'm going to go. Like, it's just like, why? I'll just say like I'm sick or something. And she was like, would you just get off the phone and go? Like, just go already. I was like, fine. So I went to our first date. I was like 15 minutes late. Yep. You thought I was standing you up.
Yeah, I was like, man, I took an L today. You know, I'll just enjoy my dinner.
Oh, but I did show up. 15 minutes late. It was actually at Harry's Ale House, like the original one. And we went, and our first date, we talked for 2 hours straight. Like, we had our food in front of us, but we barely ate it. Like, it was just instant connection.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's really cool, you know? And so we continued on dating. Well, come around to our third date, and we were going to a concert that night. And this is where, like, fate starts to come in, right? So we met on Hinge, did it that way. Our third date, we were going to a concert that night. I met up with a girlfriend of mine for lunch that day, and I'm telling her all about you. You know, as girls do. Oh my God, who is it? I'm seeing somebody, blah, blah, blah. Just like that. Yeah. And she goes, oh my God, show me a picture. And I was like, okay, because I just said your first name. And I showed her a picture, and she goes, oh my God, is that Brandon? And I was like, yeah, how do you know him? And she was like, I went to high school with him in Caroline County. And she was like, we hung out all the time. I was a grade below him, but we always hung out. And she said, Tiff, honestly, if I was still in touch with him, I would have immediately put him with you. Yeah. Which was so weird because I brought it up to you that night and you're like, I haven't talked to her in years. Yeah. But I remember her. Yep. You know? So there's number one of like possibility of fate, right? Do you want to say the second one?
Yeah. Yeah.
The other dating app?
Well, yeah, that one.
That one came up like later on, like a month or about a month into dating.
Yeah. 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 The dating app, right? Yeah. Yeah, we were supposed to meet for the first time, but I got ghosted this time. How can I say it? Like,
just say it.
Just like ghosted, I guess.
I don't think we were supposed to meet though.
No, we were going through stuff, and
yeah, it was like a year before. Before our first date, it was a year before, and I was still on different dating apps, and so were you. I think this one was on Bumble, right? And I think we were talking, and at that point, I remember this now because you pointed it out to me like a month into us dating. Like, I've talked to you before. I was like, what do you mean you've talked to me before? And you were like, I know, because not many people have radio personality as their job. And I was like, I don't remember this. And you were like, you ghosted me. And I was like, what do you mean I ghosted you? And I realized that it was a year before we actually met because I just got in a relationship with my ex. And so I just deleted all my dating apps. But I was in the middle of talking with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I completely ghosted you. So I apologize.
Yeah.
You won in the end. It's fine.
Yeah, it worked out.
And then, so that's number 2 of fate, right? So then, like, the third one, this is why I really do believe, like, fate is actually a thing. The third time around, I ended up, and I don't want to say, like, be the only one talking this whole time, but this part happened to me. I ended up having a caller call into the morning show I was on, and it was off air, and it was literally 3 months after we were dating. We made it official on Facebook. She calls in. I announced it on air. She goes, Tiffany, how do you know Brandon? And I'm like, well, he's my boyfriend. Like,
Yeah.
you know, this happened. And she was like, do you remember a year ago? So around the same time that whole ghosting thing happened.
Yeah.
Do you remember a year ago, I sent you a picture and a message of a coworker of mine saying you guys would be perfect together.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah. I was like, maybe she's just trying. To be honest, because that's just where, like, your brain goes when you're, like, in media sometimes. You're like, is this really true? Or she just wants to, like, get a part. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I was like, So I went back to my Facebook messages. It was saved there. I've actually screenshotted it to keep it for the future. She sent me a picture of you and your 2 friends in the car. And she had said, I don't know if you're still dating the other guy, but this is my coworker, Brandon. I think you 2 would be perfect together. He's a kind dude, has a big heart, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
My response back to her at that time was, thank you so much for thinking of me. I am in a relationship now, but he seems like a great dude. I hope he finds what he's looking for.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Which you did a year later with me.
Yeah, it worked out, right?
But,
Yeah.
like, imagine, like, I get goosebumps every time I say that story. Like, every time. That was 3 times
Yeah.
that we should have met. A year before we actually met.
Yeah.
And this time around, I feel like God, because we're both religious, but I feel like God was just like, come on, you 2. I'm tired of playing around.
Yep.
Just get together.
Yep. But I think we had to go through the other stuff first to get us to where we needed to go. Fortunately and unfortunately, you know, we got to go through some heartaches and ups and downs, but, you know, it worked out. Right?
Yeah. So in the end of, like, all that, I just like sharing because people are like, oh my God, no way. I think that's proof to me that fate is a thing, you know?
Yeah.
And I will say, once again, I was that girl. I was like, that's stupid. Like, you know, when they're like, when you meet the one, you'll know. And I was like, that's stupid. I was literally that person.
Yeah, I kind of felt that too.
Yeah.
At one point, you know, but I don't know. That first date, it was awesome because I had, you know, other dates and
they didn't go as well.
They didn't go as well. I was like, man, you know, it's like, so for example, I was getting back out there and, you know, taking this nice girl out. I was like, man, you know, I'm going to try to have a good time, you know, you know, have a nice dinner with a nice girl, right? And I could just tell it's just like, it was kind of awkward, you know, it was probably me, you know, it's like, you're trying,
me.
It's
Hi.
me.
I'm the problem. It's
Shout out
me.
to T Swizzy. Yeah, but yeah, it's just like, you know, getting back out there and you don't realize like going on dates is like a skill, right?
It is.
It's kind of like interviews.
Yeah.
Like you're interviewing for like each other, right? To see if this person fits.
And nobody was ever given those skills or taught that. But that's a whole nother conversation to have.
Yeah, and it's just like you're just going out there, putting yourself out there, and it's either gonna go good or bad, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like we just didn't mesh, right? And but I finished. I was gonna finish my meal, you know. So
you're like, I paid for this meal. I'm gonna finish it.
And I'm gonna do the gentleman thing and pay for her meal. At least, you know, she'll get a meal out of it.
Yeah.
You know. But my goal is when I'm going on dates, like if I, you know, I'm probably never gonna see this person again. At least try to have a good time.
Right.
And that was my goal, but it didn't work out that way.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed my food.
That's good.
You know,
at least the food.
had a great time. But other than that, it was just like an awkward date. And I was like, I just wanted to finish my food and go home.
So then what kept you to keep going to believe in fate? Or like there was somebody out there?
To be honest, like you were the date after that. And I was like, man,
I didn't know
I'm going to just stay in my house. I'm
not going to see people.
I'm going to stay in my house for a while. You know, it's like, man, I just took an L.
Yeah.
Just a
major L.
Major L. It was like, this is embarrassing.
Yeah.
But I still finished my food, though.
You finished the food. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
And you know, it's funny. You were like, I'm just going to stay in my house. It's like one of those memes on Facebook or Instagram that's like, somebody says, I don't know why I can't find like the person for me. And they're like, well, do you go out? No, I stay in my house.
Yep.
Like, that's you.
Yep. I just stay, watch TV. You know, I stay to myself. You know, I was like, man, I'm going to just be a hermit crab. Now, since I didn't have a good experience, and I'm sure that person didn't either, so I was like, man, maybe I'm just not good at this whole thing.
Yeah.
But then I was like, you know what? I'm going to keep trying.
Mm-hmm.
Don't quit, right? Because if you quit, you're always going to be stuck somewhere, right?
Yep.
So I was like, I'll give it just keep going. Mm-hmm. And of course, you were the next one. And but to show the difference is like we talked until the bar closed. Yep. Right. You know, and we didn't even finish our food. We took our food home.
Yep.
So yeah.
Which is so interesting. Like once again, like kind of circling back to the fate thing, you almost just didn't try again on the dating apps or anything before me. Yeah. Because of that one date, I almost didn't go on the date. To be honest, I got back on that dating app just to be like put myself out there. Yep. About the same time you did. Yep. So there's another sign of like, I guess I didn't realize that in the beginning, a little bit of like fact of fate. Yeah. Both of us almost didn't even do that. Yep. Yep. And I do remember, I forgot to say this, I did move our date because it was supposed to be on a Tuesday. I got sick. It was on Wednesday. We moved it to a Wednesday. Mm-hmm. Like, did you think I was actually sick or I was just trying to get out of it?
I was like, man, I'm going to get ghosted again. And I didn't know, like, you were the radio girl. Yeah. Right?
Because I took it off my profile.
Yeah, you took it off, I think. But
I got smart.
Yeah, right. It's like, oh my God, it's Tiffany K. I'm going to take her out.
I'm not going to lie, there were a couple people like that.
Yeah,
but
fangirling.
Just a little bit.
But yeah, of course, like one of my like icebreakers, right? You always ask, like, what do you do? Yeah, right. And of course you said, oh, I'm a radio personality person, and I'm like,
wait a second, you ghosted me.
Yeah, I was like, man.
Good thing you didn't start off that date with that conversation.
I was like, I don't know how having an internal conversation in my head. I was sitting there looking. Because you were very pretty. Oh, and I was like, oh my gosh, she's so pretty. But
she ghosted me.
I was like, this person ghosted me. I was like, no freaking way.
You had an internal debate going on during our first date.
I was like, should I make a joke out of it? But now I was like, I should just, the conversation is going well. I don't want to mess it up. And because I just took an L the other night, right? So I was just sitting there having an internal debate while you're talking to me. I was like, I was like, yep, she goes to me. Yep.
The entire time.
She's the radio girl.
So instead of bringing it up, right, and calling me out, instead you lied to me and said you loved Halloween stuff. Yep. And horror houses, and you don't. Yep. And I didn't find that out until 3 months later.
Yeah. Once I hit Halloween, I was like, I'm staying my butt home.
Yeah. You were like, that's a whole nother story, but you were like, I just didn't want to have a red flag the first day. Yeah. But I already had a red flag. You already had a red flag of me because I ghosted you.
Yeah. I was like, man, she might ghost me again for the 5th time or something.
Well, no. See? Fate brought us together.
Yeah, it worked out.
3 or 4 different times.
It worked out.
That's our origin story that we love to share, and people were asking about it too. Especially like, oh my gosh, the first 2 things that I get asked when we got engaged was, 1, when's the wedding? Which I was like, dude, that just happened 2 days ago. I didn't pick the wedding date yet. Yeah. But 2, oh my God, how'd you meet? And it's going to be coming up for our engagement party too. So I feel like we just need to play this part of the podcast at our engagement parties so people hear the
Everyone
story.
listen to episode 2.
So we don't have to repeat it. We do not have to repeat it.
Yep.
But we wanted to share that. And then we really are curious. Do you believe in fate? Mm-hmm. Do you believe that there are certain circumstances, whether it's romantically, platonically, in your career,
friendships,
moving, any of that,
family, whatever,
is fate a thing? And fate can be universal. It can be God. It can be
whatever you believe in.
Whatever you believe in. Just interesting sets of circumstances that you never would have thought of.
Like an aha moment. Like, oh, man.
Or like the invisible string theory, like I was talking about.
Yeah, law of attraction, whatever you want to say.
But we would love to know your opinions on this. It's definitely a topic we brought up with our friends and family, so we just like getting people's opinions on it.
Yep.
So go ahead and comment below wherever you're listening to this on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, even on my Facebook page, Tiffany Kay. That's where we're kind of posting a lot of this stuff, and we would love to hear your comments on it, and we'll respond to a few of them as well. So, but other than that, we hope you have enjoyed episode 2 of B&T Unscripted.
Yes.
And we will be back once weekly. Sorry, this one's a little bit late this time around. It just got busy. Running, man. But we will be back with some more lighthearted conversations as we continue to go forward. So, anything else you want to say?
Nope. Well, one thing to conclude episode 2. Don't forget to tell people that around you that you love them, that's close to you, or just make sure that you just tell someone you love them. Yep.